I would like to think, please.
What is the most common method of evaluation used in your club?
I will say that the most common is this one, actually.
Is it the sandwich?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how to give the evaluation.
Like, I know, like in our club, most commonly we use the sandwich method. We start good, we give, our critical points, and then we usually end with like 2 positive things that they did well.
That depends entirely of who you're evaluating. I will say that it helps a lot to talk to the speaker beforehand, and if you have a close relation, for instance, I love when I get evaluations from Kevin, because when he gives evaluation to me, he forgets about the good things and whatever. He goes for the jugular. He goes to, look, this is what you're doing wrong. This could be better. So I would recommend, on top of all, to open the line of communication to the speaker. And for number 1, 2, or 3, you have to be kind of kind. You have to go to the strong points most of all, and just give 1 or 2 things to improve, to focus, because that's what's going on in for example, number 1, 2, or 3. Ali, please.
There are so many tips for the speakers, do this way, do that way, but there are less number of tips for the evaluators, as you mentioned. So many people over here also wants to be the better evaluators. You have shown the honest and then give some feedback. But what would be the only one sentence you could say, or only first and important tip to be a first, from the beginner evaluators to be a better evaluator?
That's very simple. Develop critical thinking. I'm deadly serious. The problem with evaluation is that it's entirely subjective. It's entirely subjective. You cannot have an unbiased evaluation. It's impossible to do that. But if you have critical thinking, or you try to develop critical thinking, you may actually help the evaluator. I could be able to stand up here and sit and talk about and excuse me if somebody's sensitive about it, but I could stand up here and talk about the extreme tenderness of Adolf Hitler as a speaker. And the contents of the speech shouldn't matter for an evaluator to give me positive and constructive feedback. But we get too much into the contents of the speech. You get two evaluators that say, I totally agree with your point about, but that's not what is important. What is important is how was your delivery. Any other question? Yes.
I've seen a few members who have discouraged by the constructive feedback. It sounds very honest as an audience, but actually the main goal of evaluation is encouraging them. So
yes,
there can be kind of there. It's a communication skill.
It is a communication skill, and for that we have workshops. If you haven't had a workshop in your Toastmasters club, ask for it. The workshop for becoming a evaluator, Ali, correct me if I'm wrong, that's like $5 or so, $6, right? $6. You order that, and you held a whole workshop of how to develop that, I would say, sensitivity level to see through the speaker and the confidence of the speaker in what he or she needs. At the beginning, getting the confidence is very important. I will say this is a critical factor, helping the beginner Toastmaster member to get through that. But after a while, you don't want that anymore. You just want to get better as quick as possible. I'm sorry. Yes.
I've always found that it's always easy to give feedback to speakers who've done a great job. But I've always found that it's extremely difficult. Sometimes I'll feel like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And sometimes it completely screws it up. So what's your advice on that?
You know, I always felt the opposite. And let me tell you why. Because when I see a great speech, I'm like, that's the way. And then you go to your sense, you come back to your senses and think, oh, I have to find something. And then it comes the criticism. Some mistake. And that is not attractive thing to do. But I will say that when you have a person that did a poor job in a speech, I will just focus on one thing that he could better. He could do better. He or she could do better. One thing only. If you get one thing better, only one thing per speech, when you reach ACB, oh my goodness, you're going to be really, really, really good. One little thing per speech. You have a question.
So can I do evaluation? Actually, we have an